All right, welcome everybody. It is now the 6th episode of the Unchained Vodcast. Size does matter. Today we are going to be talking about battle size in Camelot Unchained. Big battles, small battles, little skirmishes. Not really talking about one-on-one fights maybe, but we might talk about it. I don't know yet. We haven't decided because we haven't really talked about this. Welcome, Kriss, and Brand is back.
I am back.
Your slot was filled in by Mark Jacobs last time, so
good person to take over.
So we kicked you out a little bit. We were like, no, we don't need you. We've got Mark. It's good to see you guys are doing all right. We already chatted about that a little bit. We've got all kinds of people in chat here. I said hello to most of you already, but we got, let's see, Alphonse, and I already said hi to Disco Ninja. Forced Chaos, I think you just popped in recently. And welcome everybody in chat.
Yeah, Arcane.
And Arcane's here now. I see him so often that I just assume he's always here. That's what it is.
Assume he's here.
He's always here. But welcome everybody, and as you know, if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and throw them in chat. We are more than happy to pull them up. Don't tempt him. Brand will be more than happy to play the piano the entire cast.
I will. I'll just play the intro you guys just heard, but on the piano. Since I made the intro, I can just play that.
I don't know. We might want to call you out on that, put you on the spot for that.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys be able to hear it, but
yeah.
I can turn it up.
Maybe we could try that after the cast, after we turn off the recording.
The next cast, instead of playing that intro, I'll just play it for you guys, and then we can go into it.
As you were playing earlier, I don't think it was translating super great into the mic, but we'll try it a little bit later. Anyway, for now, battles. I have to say this topic came up because it's been coming up on and off with different groups of people, and we were talking about it on our own guild forum, really debating about some of the battle sizes we like to see and different strategies and all that kind of stuff. So the first thing I wanted to talk about really shortly was just what size battles do you guys enjoy the most when it comes to PvP?
For me, it's more the small skirmishes, at least from my experience, because the most experience I have in big battles, it's ESO, and it was a slideshow. So yeah,
lag was a little bad.
Enjoyable. Yeah. But I was part, when I was invoking in our ESO guild, I was part of the scout group, and we had some pretty amazing small skirmishes, even sometimes taking on bigger groups, and that's really enjoyable.
Yeah, likewise, I'm in the same boat. I've been part of more MMOs that had the larger scale, but overall, I find the most enjoyment with the smaller stuff. Just like ESO, it was a lag fest for pretty much all the other MMOs we were a part of that had the larger scale. It's just not as tailored to that many people, that many effects, particles, whatever.
Yeah, it is a real problem. I mean, I know like Star Wars: The Old Republic. Oh man, those the big open world battles there were fail fest. But I'm glad there's a little bit of disagreement amongst us here, because while I do really like the small battles, I really enjoy the really big battles. I like the big keep sieges. The thing is, I don't like to do them all the time, but I feel like when I do those are the ones I enjoy the most if I do them, maybe not as often. And we've got, let's see, Thanatos like snack size battle. Rhaegar likes the 1v1. I like some dueling, so I won't say I don't like that.
I'm a big fan of dueling, aside from learning your class, learning your skills, and more than even learning your own skills, learning the others, what the other classes can do. The thing is, in C, we won't have that opportunity.
I just like tournaments. I like having little tournaments.
I remember our SWTOR tournaments. Those
were fun. They were fun. Even if I was terrible at them, it was still fun to just be like, I will kill you, and then we go 1-1, and we do little, matches, and then the losers all get together and fight each other, and I might win one of those. Mad Dane likes it to be as big as it can get without lag, which is definitely a important consideration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dreadeth likes 20 versus 5.
He's the 5.
He's the 5.
Oh yeah, of course he is. Of course he doesn't like to just stomp all over people. I did want to start and talk about some of the positives of both types of battles too. Starting with the bigger battles. For me, and I want to ask chat this as well, and y'all of course, what you think the big battles bring to the game. For me, they bring a certain measure of like immersion because you're in like a huge field battle with huge armies. They bring epicness because you get out there with like 200, 300, 400 people and you're just like, oh, this huge battle with catapults and huge boulders flinging through the air and all this stuff. It's just crazy. And for me at least, it brings memories because those are some of the battles I remember the most. But it, of course, depends on the game. Like, if that's all you do is just big siege battles, then they're not memorable anymore. Because it's like, oh, that siege battle. Yeah, we've got another one coming.
Yeah.
Let's go fight for 2 more hours over this castle.
I think what to me big battles add to the game and to my gameplay, there's one word to sum of that. It's epicness. It's really when you are in a huge battles, especially with how they seem to be turning out in CU. It's gonna be huge battles with siege engines, with a lot of people. It's gonna be messy, but it's probably gonna be epic, especially the big sieges. Not just the battles in the middle of a field, but more the sieges, the defense and attack, both sides. I think it's gonna be pretty epic.
Yeah, I mean, some of the cool things about it is that there are no limitations. You can get in as many people as possible, these large groups, your entire guild, more than one guild, working together often. And that just brings a completely different twist, and it feels great seeing that many people running behind you or running in front of you if you happen to be in the back. And it is epic. It's extremely epic. I remember in SWTOR on launch day when we did that Tatooine battle, there was like 60 versus 60, and it was this massive publicized thing on our server anyway, and just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I hadn't thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
I hadn't thought of the community aspect when thinking of it, but yeah, for the big battles, there is definitely that community element in there with working together with other guilds. I mean, you can have that on small scale too, but when you're talking about the really big battles, it's often an essential, mechanism of it. We've got Infi brought up a good point of the chaos of big battles and learning how to handle it, and I think that is the interesting challenge of the big battles. Is it's not about doing as much DPS as you can. It's not about tanking as much damage as you can. It's really more about not losing your head and coordinating with your allies.
Right. I think it's going to be also a key part in those big battles, the organization, the strategy, and because otherwise you devolved into a Zerg ball, and if in front of you you have an organized force, while you become a Zerg, you're gonna lose. So it's also interesting to have those kind of mechanics where you're gonna have to have alliances and communication because the big battles means it might be more than one guild, it might be more than one alliance, so you have to communicate, and you're gonna have to organize people. So I think it brings something also compared to the smaller battles.
Yeah, for some reason your mic has gotten kind of echoey, but I don't know if you did anything to it. If not, oh well. It might just be the connection because your video went a little bit fuzzy too. But anyway, it is a very important consideration with the big battles too. I mean, we keep mentioning lag and everything, and Sifade just mentioned the engine, of course, for Camelot Unchained is being built for this. Is being built to harness huge amounts of people, and I forget the size of the battle they just did, even though I just recently wrote an article about it. Was it 3,000
or so?
Which one? During the
last one where they really pushed it before crashing the engine. Was it 2,000 or 3,000?
2,000 bots, and there were 600 or 700 players.
About 3,000.
Yeah, I wanted to say they said they pushed it up to about 3,000 before the server begged for mercy and just crashed. And this is alpha. I mean, they're still just testing things. We, of course, don't know that they're really pushing for battles of that size. I mean, some people don't even want battles of that size. But
that was a test, but at the same time, I doubt we'll ever have, or not on a regular basis, that huge battles. But even 300 or 500 people against 500 people.
Yeah,
it's going to be huge. Yeah. It's going to be challenging.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see a ton of battles of that size very often. I just wrote an article about this on realmsunchained.com, where I think the thing to keep in mind is they may not be trying to have battles of 3,000 people, but it's good to know when they're trying to decide on the server size, it's good to know, well, how many people might possibly show up to this battle,
right,
and how many can we handle before the whole thing just craps out on us.
Multiple someones will be organizing literal realm versus realm fights where everyone on each realm shows up to this thing. Maybe not all the time, but that kind of organization will be happening from time to time.
Yeah. Now,
and it needs to happen. I remember in Client Side 2, I played a couple server smashes, which is basically a full server against another, or actually 3 servers against each other. And the first server smash I did, it was 250 people against 250 people against 250. It's huge. Even if the map is huge in Planet Side, the battles were everywhere, and it was huge battles. And you need an organization, because you could see that those who were organized were clearly taking the advantage, even if they didn't have the numbers in that special place. So I think the numbers are not going to be the only defining effect. It's going to be the realm's organization and cooperation that also will dictate how the battles will go.
Yeah. Now, of course, we also have to talk about small battles. There are lots of different types of small battles. There's skirmishes, just random battles out in the field with small groups clashing, resource raids, all kinds of different things. Caravan raids. Mm-hmm. What do you think, and of course Chad as well, what do you think the small battles bring to the larger game itself? What is the benefit or the awesome part of the small battles?
I think a lot of the small battles would actually be a result from the meta of the game rather than the initiator. Like the caravan raids, they're gonna happen because there's a caravan going there, or the resource raid, it's gonna happen because there's a crafter there gathering resources. So I think, except for the small skirmishes where you have actually roaming groups looking for a fight, most of the smaller fights will happen because there's something else there. Like I don't know, a caravan relay. I talked about that in the forums about the idea of having player-built relays, safe harbors for the caravans. Mm-hmm. Those things are not PvP per se, but they will generate smaller battles because you won't need a huge force to raid those unless you want to really level them. But for most of the time, since they're probably not going to be on the front lines, there's going to be smaller battles for those kind of things, I think.
I think the map dictates a lot of what we'll see as well. For anyone who has been playing or even watching Mark talk about it during some of the Friday updates, the map is huge. And they showed it.
That's an understatement.
You're not... If there are so many things to do in the maps we'll be playing in, you're not going to want to necessarily be in one full group. You're going to want to try to accomplish as much as you can, which means splitting up into smaller groups. So I think we'll see a lot of that just based on the needs that the map provides.
Yeah. I guess the root of my question was more, for players and for the game as a whole, what are the advantages of having the smaller fights be a focus of the game? Like, for me, smaller fights kind of equate to being more strategic. You get to have play more to the individual group's cunning and strategy, maneuvering around other groups, deciding which resources to take, where to cut off supply lines, and there's a lot more individual skill. I really like the big battles.
Absolutely.
And I feel like they really balance things between classes very well because there's so many different people. But in the smaller battles, you get to really showcase your player skill more.
Yeah, it's easier to organize, and also I feel they'll be quicker. I mean, Mark has talked about trying not to draw these battles out longer, so the fewer people involved, the quicker they go, the more you can do. Say you're only on for 4 hours of the night, you can get a lot more done with a smaller group, and I think that provides a lot more enjoyment. You feel more progression. You feel like you've done just more in that 4 hours of time. Yeah.
And they feel the smaller battles, which is why, for me, I prefer those. They feel more personal. You see yourself in the big battles. You don't really see yourself. You see your avatar, but it's in a wave of other avatars. There's less individuality in the big battles. In the small battles, as you said, it's more player skills oriented or group coordination, but it's still more personal. Because if you fight even 6 or 7 or 8 against 8, what you do matters a lot more than in the big battles, where even if you screw up some part of the battle, it won't be one person affecting the outcome. In a small battle, in a small fight, you screwing up might screw up your whole group for the battle.
It's true enough, though. I may be self-absorbed because I always feel like everything I do in the big battle has I killed that one guy over the gate. I ruined their entire plan. I helped bring that gate down. We have, somebody said something in chat. I was trying to pull back up here. Hicks was talking about small battles helping with group coordination practice, which I definitely think is necessary. I still feel like big battles have small groups in them, maneuvering around doing different things anyway, until it turns into total chaos, which inevitably kind of happens as well.
I mean, there's just something, like Kriss was saying, it's personal. It is personal. I could be saying, Kriss, res me, in that small group battle, and talking with him directly by name, or saying, hey, someone res me, I died in this huge group battle. There's no connection there. I have no idea who's with me versus the 9 other people. If we're talking 10-mans, we're playing constantly, building that connection. It's just better.
Yeah. Sifade mentioned that how individual player skill doesn't matter in this game because it's all about overall realm skill. And that's actually, I think, a very good point for the entire point of this conversation, because that's really what we're talking about here, is which one is the game supposed to be focusing on? Should Camelot Unchained focus on the big battles where player skill is not necessarily that important, or should they focus more on the smaller battles? And that's the question I really wanted to put to y'all, which is why we're talking about both of them. Which do you think the developers need to focus on for the game?
I think they need to find a balance.
That's an easy answer.
Because both things, if you focus on the big battles, making each realm balanced rather than the individual classes, small battles will still happen, and if the classes are not at least slightly balanced, you're gonna have a lot of players very frustrated. And if we focus on the small battles and don't look at the bigger picture, it's gonna devolve into a kill count for each class, seeing which class is overpowered, and then you'll end up with what you have in most other MMOs, which is the flavor of the month class.
Yeah.
And that's not desirable either.
No, I really agree with.
It is the easy route, but for me, it is the smarter route to go with the balance of both.
Yeah, I really do agree with both Infi, that individual skill is more important in smaller groups, and Homestar, that they are focusing on realm balance rather than class balance as much. So, as you said, you still have to have class balance. And with, I think it was maybe... I'm bored. Said, they have been using big battles as kind of a selling point for the game.
They have.
So, Brand, do you think... I mean, they've been really kind of marketing up the big battles. Do you think that they should be focusing development time necessarily more on the big battles, or like Kriss, they need to dole it out on both?
It's harder to answer for me because I don't think they're actually focusing on the battles themselves, where they are more so focusing on people being together in whatever manner. They're focusing on class synergy. We see a lot of that with how classes work together with their air system. Their focus isn't on the battles themselves, it's how these battles happen that they're focusing on, and that could be both sides, large or small. But if they had to choose a focus, I'm still following with Kriss on this, and that it needs to be balanced. There needs to be a bit of both, the best of both worlds.
Well, I think there of course has to be a bit of both. The real question is, which gets the lion's share? For me, I have a firm opinion on this, so I'm going to go ahead and go into it, and we can see where that goes.
Okay.
For me, I feel like they have to, even though, remember earlier I said my favorite type of battle is sometimes often the big siege battles and everything. I actually feel like their focus development-wise needs to be on the small battles. The reason being, I think big battles are going to happen anyway. I think as long as they've developed the engine to handle the big battles, which I think is the big part of developing for the big battles, and they've really already done a lion's share of the work for that. I think as long as they have the engine to support the big battles are going to happen, regardless of what they do to make them happen. They don't really I don't feel like they have to do anything to make big battles happen. They're just going to happen. So long as the realms are balanced against each other, that's all they really need for the big battles. The small battles are things that I feel are very important to keep the PvP varied up, and I don't think those happen unless they put a concerted effort at making reasons for them to happen, which to me comes down to resources. If people have to fight over resources that are spread all over the place, they have to chase down caravan routes and sack them to deny their enemies resources and to steal resources for themselves. They have to fight over, the stabilizers and everything. All these little points spread out over a wide area. First of all, I think it helps to combat the Zerg when you've got tons of objectives spread all over the huge map. But also, it really encourages these small groups to spread out and do things other than just hit the siege. Because you can't hit the siege unless you have the resources to hit the siege.
Yes.
And the other people can't build the keeps unless they have the resources to build the keeps. So objective number one is to get and protect the resources all over the map. And then the big battles, in my opinion anyway, they're going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing elements, just hearing Mark and Ben talk about things. We're already hearing and seeing the elements from both sides present. If guilds especially are building their own guild structure, you're going to need guild number of people to try to take those down. They're building that platform for you to group up and take those down, but then also find all the resources, and then just whatever else they want to put in there. It's not just resources, smaller scale bonuses, benefits for small groups to take over.
Well, you're going to have also, we tend to forget those because they haven't talked much about it, but they still haven't said that they scrapped the idea. There's places of power.
Yes.
Those are also going to be... I don't think those are going to be the theater for huge battles, but more group battles on a larger scale than just small skirmishes, but still not huge battle like a siege would be. But those are going to be also probably huge key points to draw the groups there, and they're going to be all over the map, and they're going to be of also apparently varied size. So all those will probably increase the number of small battles all over the map.
Now, I do have to say, I do still agree with the Scander, though, that there is work to be done for big battles, for dev time. They have to set up communication features so that people can coordinate, supply lines to and from things. But some of these, I think, are dual focus. They help big battles and small battles. You need communication to communicate between multiple small groups. You need supply lines are both essential for the big battles, and they're also small battle objectives. Siege mechanics, that's not really something for small battles. But it could be, because you could be wheeling up siege weapons to reinforce a big battle, and all of a sudden someone comes around and they attack your siege out away from the big battle. That's a small battle.
Count that into the supply lines.
Yeah, it kind of is.
I don't see us, honestly, building a siege engine halfway across the map and then hauling it all the way to the big battle.
We've had this discussion, though, and I personally think it would be an awesome idea.
Yes.
Drag that thing.
I'd rather take a bit of risk. I'd rather take a bit of risk and build it closer.
But what if it takes a long time to build? That's the thing. What if it takes like 5 minutes to build this thing? But you can drag it at your movement. But you can drag it at your movement speed.
Then I mobilize a full group to protect me while I'm building it. It's worth. To me, it's worth wasting 5 minutes of siege battle for 8 people to build a siege engine that will shorten the time of the siege, rather than having to hold it half across the map, and probably will take more time.
I just think it would be glorious to see like 5 catapults being carried across the landscape with a whole contingent of ground troops guarding them, and the enemies see that coming like way from a distance. One of their scouts sees it, and they run back, and they're like, "They're coming! The British are coming!"
10,000 strong.
Get all the defenders to our keep. Everyone goes flocking to the keep. So by the time the siege weapons get there, I guess it's kind of a flip, because either they see it coming or they see it being built. Either way, they're going to see it. We're kind of getting off topic, all right? So we're talking about siege. I was going to see what's I can't agree with Sif Fade that I can see stabilizers sometimes being focused for big battles. I mean, because those are gonna be crucial, and people want them, and they're gonna build keeps around them if we can. I don't know if we'll be able to or not, but if you can, people are gonna build keeps around them and be like, "No, this is mine." Build the walls and everything.
I agree with the Fade also about the no warning. We discussed that on the forums about the global chat. I want to see communication. It's always the same. So I'd rather people let their realm know there's a big battle coming there. Go there. There's a huge battle. Go reinforce our forces. We're losing, or we need a final push to get the stabilizer. But yeah.
Yeah, it's all part of.
Off topic, but yeah.
That's part of the realm notoriety and gaining prestige within your realm. They're talking about having things set up to get recognition for your realm, and that's communicating and involving other communities in what's happening around you is the best way to do that.
Yeah, I think Halfgar asked if they will apply their "nothing lasts forever" rule to mines. I think that's been pretty much stated as a given. Yes. Resources aren't going to stay in the same exact spot all the time, so you won't be able to just build a keep around a mine and mine it for eternity. Maybe a small base or something.
Around the mine, but it will be useless once the mine is depleted.
Yeah,
so
or despawns naturally.
Minutes. Yeah.
And those are the kind of the events that set up the smaller scales, like resource spawns. If we know that they're random, maybe like every 3 or 4 hours, they spawn somewhere on the map. People are going to look for them. You get all these small skirmishes happening.
I think it's going to be longer than that, but
yeah, as an example.
We really don't know.
The good thing is the resources bubbles entrances are gonna be all over the map at random. So that means people are gonna look for it, and people who look for it might encounter enemies because some of the most valuable resources are gonna be on enemy territory. So that might even devolve or evolve, depending on your side of the view, into a big battle because, yeah, there's a mine of, say, titanium that spawned there, and we know that there's already a battle for it right now. So go help the rest of your guild, and then somebody from the other realm comes help also, and more people come, and that can evolve in a big battle like that too.
Yeah, small battles.
All your resources.
Small battles do inevitably turn into big battles a lot of the times. I mean, even in other games, you go and there's like 3 guys going around ganking some people. So you show up with your buddies and you kill them. And then they show up with their friends, and then you're just, before you know it, it's like 20 on 20 standing out there. And that's in a game without, RVR. Yeah. That's just like PvE areas. And even if they do, I think Sifade was saying that... MJ said that mines will last longer. I don't remember whether he said that or not.
Yes, he did.
But even if they last longer, even if they last a couple of weeks, I don't think we'll want to build like a huge keep to guard it if it's going to go away in 3 weeks.
Yes,
but that doesn't mean you can't build.
It might take actually 3 weeks to build a keep.
Yeah, that doesn't mean though you can't build a smaller keep. I mean, you could still build like a wall around it, a little fort you throw up and. Just to guard it. Will it be worth it? Depends on how valuable that node is, I guess.
Or how easy it is to take a wall down.
Yeah. One thing I do kind of want to see. I just noticed Brand is like frozen on screen and like the weirdest death stare. Anyway, one thing I am excited to see is a small group mining, and then another small group comes and attacks them. They fight them, and like you said, it grows into a big battle till you have like this huge kind of siege battle. We have a dog. Huge siege battle while these crafters are out behind the front lines with their little pickaxes going, mine faster, mine faster, mine faster. Get it and go, grab it and go. They might break the line at any minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. I think we're gonna have a lot of that kind of interaction in battles all over the map. Even if some people said that they don't really care, for example, about caravans. Once the game is out and they see the importance of caravans and the advantage they give, they're gonna start raiding them.
Yeah.
Especially the player ones, because I think there's a huge discussion on the forum right now about the caravans and the player caravans or the game managed caravans. I think the game managed will be basic resources, so since they're always the same route, so they're get attacked pretty much every time, because that there's going to be people going for the easy route of attacking the NPC caravans because they're insured, and they're always taking the same route. So you'll have the checkpoints where that there's always a group there that's going to attack the caravan, but the player organized caravan that don't follow the same route all the time are the ones that are going to be worth fighting for, and those two can spawn pretty big battles depending on the resources they have, because some of them are not worth defending and you can always just abandon them and run if you're outnumbered. But if you have valuable resources in there, you might have the incentive of defending them.
Yeah. Halfgar and some others were having an interesting conversation in chat about chat. We're talking about the coordination for large battles and everything, and for identifying targets. We know we're going to have scouts that can flag things on maps, but they're not going to be instantaneous. But then if we have like a global chat, they could just type it in global chat. Hey guys, the guy's over here, they're attacking. So that almost necessitates not having a global chat. Which I know there's been debate on whether or not there even should be a global chat.
Yeah. If there is, for scouts, it's still something you would want to do both of. If it takes a while for scouts to update their map, you still want to relay that information as quick as possible. So you have to tell your guild, tell whoever's there, hey, this is happening. But updating the map is the visual reference for that. Like, they know exactly where things are happening.
The thing
Whereas
is,
telling someone there's miscommunication, you're not always going to say the right things. They might go east and you meant west or something,
Yeah.
that plus, for that to work, to say where they are on the map, it's going to work once, not twice. We have a dynamically generated terrain. If the map changes owner, if the island changes owner, the landscape will change. So giving reference points is going to get harder. You can't give coordinates. Hopefully we won't have coordinates, the slash coordinate function, but just giving visual references to where people are or where enemies are might not be enough to actually find them. So it kind of negates the advantage of saying it in the global chat, hopefully.
This is almost completely off topic, but injury to all, I think it was. No. Where is it? Somebody gave me... Oh, yeah. Hicks just gave me a great idea. He said players need a type of flare gun. I just pictured... Forget flare gun. I just pictured a keep upgrade, like going back to Lord of the Rings. Light the beacons! And you start lighting the beacons all the way down. This is where the battle is.
Awesome.
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
That would be awesome.
That would be pretty crazy. All of a sudden, you just see these giant pillar torches light up going in the direction. You're like, oh, they're attacking Helm's Deep. And you start riding across the map. You don't even need the map or anything. You're just like, oh no, our most important keep.
You almost don't even need flares. Because like some of the spells just launch super high in the air. So if you're nearby, just look into the sky. You'll see something going on. And
just follow the Veil storm.
Yeah.
It would be cool, though. I think just having something like that. I mean, I think having something like that wouldn't negate scouts. Because it would be a huge resource to have to build that in the keep, and then you'd have to build one every so often to even get to there. I don't know. It'd be kind of crazy, but it'd be really cool. So
It'd be really fun.
I think in summation about battle size anyway, really we're all kind of saying the same thing, I guess, is we have to focus on both. I personally think a little bit more work, I think a little bit more thought has to go into the small battles. I agree. I think maybe a little bit more engine dev time has to go into making the big battles possible.
Because it's going to show if there's imbalance or lack of features in the smaller battles. It shows more than in the big battles where it's lost in the numbers.
Yeah.
In small battles, you see the problems showing up more effectively.
Yeah, Real Okay on Board asked if we don't envision huge TS servers with guild chat and everything. I will say yes and no. I'm sure there might be there's going to be some of them on some servers, I'm sure. And my guild especially does have a TS channel, and we will be sitting in there. However, I can say for like whole alliances and stuff, I don't think it's going to be a thing that'll happen a lot because TeamSpeak is freaking expensive.
Yes.
I know, what is it? Like 100-person server is about $35 a month, I believe. I pay for it, so it's somewhere around there. So for like a whole alliance, talking about maybe getting 200-300 people on at a time, that TeamSpeak server is going to be really expensive. They could maybe use Discord. It's free, but the performance on Discord is reportedly not as good. So not everybody's necessarily going to want to run that. And then some people will have a TeamSpeak for their guild, and then they also have to run Discord. Yeah, so good. Yeah. So I think they're going to have other systems. There's going to have to be in-game.
I just hope
alliance
there's
chats.
VoIP in-game. That's all.
Oh no, no.
Voice chat. It's just every time there's one in Played Side.
I'm muting it.
Nobody uses.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody uses it because it's awful. It doesn't work. All it does is pulling resources.
I agree, Sifade. $35 a month isn't that expensive if you have a large guild, a guild of that number. However, how many people want to have to donate money every month?
Yeah.
I can say for my guild personally, we don't require donations to pay for that stuff. We do. Some people donate and some people don't, because we don't want to require that. And I know a lot of guilds don't require that sort of thing. So it's possible. I think it's possible, and I think some alliances will have it. I just don't think it's going to be something where there's going to be a ton of alliance-wide TeamSpeak type things. Especially if there are good in-game tools. I think that's the important thing. If CSE can make a good alliance chat and good in-game communication tools, there isn't a need to pay an extra $70 a month for a freaking alliance TeamSpeak chat that you only use for this one game.
Well, if I remember correctly, TS has the option to be on several different tabs, different TS channels. So
it does,
for the leaders, it might be useful. For the foot soldiers, not so much. Staying on your own TS and having the leaders coordinate everything and relay orders. I think we're gonna see that. I've seen that happening in Planet Side too, and hopefully I'm talking about my hopes for the game, but it's going to be it's less organized than CU is going to be. The big battles in CU are going to be.
Yeah. So, do you have something, Brad?
I was just going to say, you can do that internally as well. It's not just about community to community communication. If we're looking at 10 mans and you have a guild size, 40 plus, you can still split channels in TeamSpeak. Communicate with just leaders in multiple channels.
Yeah, and I tend to think that the communication requirement amongst entire alliances doesn't require VoIP. I tend to think if you've got a group of 50-something guys and another guild has a group of 50-something people and another guild has a group of 30 people, then you can go out to your keep and go, we need help. Hey, other group. You can message them in alliance chat or something and go, hey, other group, we need you here if you can get here. They're coming from the east. I mean, that's pretty much the level of communication that's usually necessary to coordinate those groups, because they're not going to want you micromanaging their group anyway. That's their guild. They're not going to want you telling them what to do every 5 minutes. They've got their own people for that. It can sometimes be useful. And I do tend to agree with Infi that the huge TS chat is kind of bad for immersion too, because small one. Well, I guess it depends on what you call big and small, but like our guild only chat, when you get like 40, 50 something people in there in a single battle, it's already immersion breaking anyway. So because if they're nobody talks anyway unless they're giving instructions or alerts, so becomes more of a professional activity at that point anyway, I guess. But my last question for you is a bit more toned down. Infi. All right, Infi. I can say that. Infi. Not for you, but I'm just saying your name. But last question for y'all, and I guess for everybody in chat too, is what do you want to be doing the most in RVR? Not just big battles and small battles, but what do you see yourself in the RVR combat? What do you want to be doing the most? What do you want to occupy your time?
We know what Kriss is doing.
Besides, I said battle. I said battle.
Yeah. When I'll not be crafting, when I'll be on my archer, I'd say I don't want to. I like big battles too, but I want to be in smaller battles. I like the idea of ambushing the cutting the supply lines basically from the enemy. So that's mostly what I like doing. Scout groups. As an archer, I'll have the camouflage. So scouting groups and supply lines cutting, or just rare attacks, going around the keep and attacking the least defended side.
Yeah, I was in SWTOR. I was a tank and leading the PvP, so I was always on the front lines. And in other MMOs, pretty much the same. But in this game, I'm actually planning on playing a scout. So I'm definitely going to be less involved directly. If there are large groups fighting it out, I'll be doing what I can to help. The scout offers other benefits besides just looking at things and reporting them. So I'll be just managing from maybe from a little bit of afar, just how things are going, keeping track of things, because everyone knows when you're in those kind of battles, you kind of just lose track of everything going on around you.
Yeah, you need somebody who's a bit on the side and sees the whole picture.
You'll be sitting in your own TeamSpeak channel, listening to Wherever I May Roam, and walking around the whole map. We got, let's see, Thanatos wants to craft. I said combat. He doesn't want to do combat at all, so that's okay. Ibsen's taking his pants off. That's all right, too. I won't have them on to begin with. Building siege. God, so much crafting comments here. Hicks loves defending. All right, somebody's doing something. Arcane wants to CC the hell out of people. Draneth playing bait for stealthers. Rhaegar sitting at the keep fights. I want to play an archer. I'm like Brand. I almost always seem to play a tank in like every MMO. I'm trying to not do that. So I'm trying to get away from it a little bit. So I'm going to try to play an archer. And I like the range of combat and everything. I like the idea of the camouflage. I actually, when it comes to the archer, I don't care about big battle versus small battle, because I actually want to just run around with a small group and just DPS the hell out of people and just slaughter people. That's all I want to do. I just want to roam around and kill. I can do that in big battles or small battles, either one. I could just be like, that guy, we're killing that guy.
For an archer, the good thing about big battles is you can fire your arrow pretty much everywhere and be sure to hit something.
You don't have to worry about people staring at you and dodging and be like, ugh.
You don't have to aim. You just fire.
The smaller battles,
you have arrows, you fire, and you're certain to hit somebody.
Smaller battles, I'm going to be more sniper-esque coming in there, which PlanetSide 1 and 2... Well, PlanetSide 1, anyway, I played a sniper. I was terrible with sniper in PlanetSide 2 for some reason. But
Me too.
everyone was terrible at sniper in PlanetSide 2.
Pretty much.
But yeah, just going in there and be like, sneak up. Oh, they're fighting there. It's like 4-on-4. And there's the healer right there with the arrow to his head. That's what I want to do. I just want to sit there. I want to hide really, really far away from the battle and shoot really long siege arrows at people. And hope that a stealther doesn't find me.
Yeah.
That's it, Hicks. I want a platoon of archers. I want like me and like 3 or 4 other archers and maybe a scout, so that we can sneak around to battles and the scout can walk over to people and put a big glowy mark on their head and go, "Here's the guy. Here's the guy." And all 4 of us just go whoosh. I know the game's not supposed to have one-hit kills, but I'm pretty sure if we can get that group together, there's going to be one-hit kills.
Yeah, if you
technically it's 4-hit kills, but
4 or 5 arrows at the same time, you'll die.
Yeah, all of a sudden,
pain.
Everything's blinking red and they're limping away. What the hell was that? Dude, there's an arrow sticking out of your ass.
You focus on the other arm, and you two go for the legs. And
without playing the TDD, I'll be playing the elves and lining up on the walls. We'll all be just shooting arrows all day.
Yeah.
We'll have curved swords on us just for decorative purposes.
Of course.
Anyway, I think that's pretty much filled time for the official thing. So I want to thank everybody for coming out and hanging out with us and chatting with us. And for everyone on YouTube who has checked out our video, thank you for sitting through it. And we will see you in 2 weeks when we do the next one.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes!